Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and today I'm doing this natural makeup look. To get started, I'm priming my eyes with the Makeup Forever HD concealer, and this is in R20, which is a little bit too light for me. Like, it's almost perfect because I'm super pale, but it's just a little bit too light, so I'm blending that out with my beauty blender on my lids, just like always. And I'm using the tape method again today. I think this method works the best, especially if you are struggling with your makeup looking good, or you're struggling with trying to get your eyeliner to be perfect. This is just the best. So this is my Morphe 35 in palette, and I'm just using these 4 shades in the corner. You can use any neutral brown colors that you have. I prefer more warm brown colors over cool browns, just because that's what I like. And this is a lot of blending and building. So it's very important to remember anytime you're trying to do a makeup look, to blend all of the colors out evenly. So you can see I just start in that outer V, and this is where that tape comes in handy because this is going to make it look very cat eye like, and I just push that into the crease and blend it into the inner corner just very slightly. I typically want to keep the inner corner more blank just because I think that looks better on my eye shape and most eye shapes. That is more of a flattering look. So I'm just building up the color in the outer corners, and I'm trying to keep it relatively light. I don't want anything too dark since this is a more natural look, and any of the really dark colors, because this one is more of a dark chocolatey brown, I'm keeping low towards the lash line and barely touching that into the crease. And that is going to make the lash line look more full and make everything look more blended and smoked out. So this is just a clean blending brush, and I am just blending in some of a neutral color to blend that all out. So when I go in with the black, this is very important. I'm keeping that very low to the lash line, and I start right along that line of the tape and then taper that upwards. So I blend it upwards very, very slightly. It's not too harsh. As you can tell, this isn't a lot of black. I don't want anything too crazy. And if you are a beginner, this is going to be the perfect neutral smoky eye for you, for an everyday. Or if you prefer, you can completely skip the black step and just move straight on to eyeliner or lashes. I prefer this just because I think it gives my eyes a little bit more depth. Since my eyes are smaller, this makes them look a little bit bigger. So I'm taking just a neutral tone color and blending that onto the lid and up into the inner crease, and that is going to lighten up this whole area and again kind of tone down all the colors that we've already used. This is the Morphe Gel Liner in Slate, and this is my first time trying this, and I have to say I love it. It's so black and it's very, very creamy. This is one of the best eyeliners I think I've ever used, and it's super cheap. I've used the Tardiest gel liner, and that one's so much more expensive, and this one looks so much better. So I'm just using that on an angled eyeliner brush. This is the E65 by Sigma, and I'm mostly pushing that into the lash line. I'm not doing a dramatic wing. I'm keeping it very low, and just doing a little flick towards at the end and then pressing the black into the lash line because I don't want anything too thick, because like I said, this is a very natural look. Normally, most days when I do eyeliner, it's more dramatic and my wing goes a little bit farther out, and this one does not. And plus, when we take off the tape, it's going to look even more subtle than right now because a lot of the black is on the tape. I keep this very, very short and small down in the inner corner just because I think that that looks better and more natural. And as you can see, I'm just peeling off the tape like an instant facelift. And I'm just taking a little bit of that black eyeshadow again and smudging that line just slightly. I'm smudging it upwards and not downwards, to kind of give it a softer look so it doesn't look super harsh and sharp. Okay, so for lashes, this is not, I guess, what everybody would do for every day, but lashes are super important to me, and I love my eyelashes. So these are the House of Lashes Iconic Lash, and truthfully, it takes me less amount of time to put on lashes than it does to put on 12 coats of mascara for me to get the exact same effect. So I prefer to do false eyelashes. Once you get the hang of it, it becomes really easy. I do wear them every day, and if you take care of your lashes, you can wear them for up to a month and not have to buy a new pair. So As you can see, I just press that right onto my lash line. I start with the middle and then I press the outer corner down and then I press the inner corner down. And because of the way that my eye is shaped, I tend to have to turn the inner corner down a little bit to get it to fit. So for my primer, this is where I'm going to be going in and showing you my highlighting and contouring steps. So this is the Becca Backlight Primer, and that thing on my lips is the Full Lips Enhancer. I don't know if any of you have seen this. It's on Instagram and YouTube. Lots of people use it, and it just makes your lips look more plump. And because I'm high maintenance, I'm going in with the Makeup Forever Smoothing Primer as well. So this one is going to smooth out some of the dry skin areas that I have and some of the pores. So I'm focusing that on the center of my face and then any areas that are dry or flaky. And I kept the Becca Backlight Primer on the areas that I wanted to highlight on my face because that is a very luminous primer. So you can see I'm just putting this in my problem areas and my lips already look bigger, which is awesome. So for my foundation, this is my go-to #1 favorite foundation right now. It's the Makeup Forever the Ultra HD foundation in the stick. And I'm in the shade, I believe it's R20, I think. I'll have to double check. But I'm just blending that in with my Morphe M439 brush. And then just to set that, I press it in with my Beauty Blender just because this foundation tends to be not necessarily oily, but it is still very creamy when it's on your skin. So I just press that in. I'm mixing these two shades, R20 and Y33 of the concealers. And this is when I'm going to be doing my highlighting. So I do right underneath of my eyes, around the center of my nose, on my chin here, and down the center of my nose. So I just blend this. These are the areas of my face that I want to highlight. And as you can tell, this isn't super light. It's still, I would say, relatively matches my skin color, but it's enough to highlight the areas. These are very important areas to highlight, and I'm just blending that in. So you can use any cream concealers for your highlighting. You don't need any fancy highlighting and contour kits, even though those are easier for a lot of people. If you just have a cream concealer, I know the Maybelline Fit Me ones are amazing. And so is the MAC Pro Longwear. So I'm just taking, I have a little bit of a couple of blemishes on my chin because, of course, during that time of the month, that's what happens. And I'm just taking that foundation and I'm pressing that to give a little bit of extra coverage to cover up those problem areas, which this foundation I think is amazing in a concentrated form. When you really pack it on, it's amazing for zits or blemishes or anything like that. So for my contouring, I'm using that same HD foundation by Makeup Forever in just a darker shade. I want to say this is the darkest shade they make, but I think this is the second to darkest shade that they make. So you can just see I'm kind of feeling where my cheekbones are and I'm going underneath. And this part looks really scary at first. I promise it's going to look good when I'm done. And just to kind of carve out where my jawbone is, I make that a little bit more prominent and kind of bring that up onto the sides of my chin. These are the areas that I highlight on I contour on all of my clients. They're the areas that you want to look darker. So this is going to make you look slimmer. It's going to make you look more, I guess, sculpted. I just think it makes anybody's makeup look better. Even if you barely do any eye makeup at all, when you highlight and contour, your makeup looks super on point. So I'm just tapping this very, very lightly around my nose because I don't want to do this super dark. And I'm taking another shade of their HD foundations, which this is not necessary. This is just me going a little bit overboard. And it's a little bit of a lighter shade, and I'm just touching up a couple of the areas towards the center of my face. So I'm just using my Beauty Blender, which is super vital if you want to do highlighting and contouring. If you're just now starting, getting a Beauty Blender is the best thing that you can ever do for this. It's very hard to blend all of the contouring and highlighting out without a Beauty Blender. And you must use it wet. That's also a very important tip. So as you can see, I'm just blending this all outwards. You don't want to blend towards the face. You want to blend outwards towards the hairline or your ears or your scalp or whatever. And I know it looks kind of scary right now, but like I said, it gets better. So I'm just taking that foundation that I used a little bit ago and doing a little more highlighting on the areas that I really want to bring forward. So I'm just dragging this slightly underneath my eyes and around the same areas that I highlighted before, but I'm just using the lighter shade now instead of mixing the two. And by blending this in, it's going to soften the darkening effects that the contour had. So this is going to make everything look more blended and more seamless, and it's not going to be as noticeable by the time that we're done. See, already looks more natural. So this is the Makeup Forever HD. I feel like this is just a Makeup Forever video, but I just really love their products. This is just their translucent powder. Again, this is another step that's going to make this whole process look more blended. A lot of people do cream highlighting and contouring, and then they just give up because it looks like too messy or too muddy or whatever. This is a very important step, is to go in, and this makes it look more airbrushed and more seamless when you're setting it with a translucent powder. So to highlight underneath of my eyes, I'm using the Anastasia Banana Powder, and this, I would prefer to use a lighter color, but I feel like this also helps eliminate any dark circles, so that's why I use this. So as you can see, I'm just setting the cream a little bit more. Since I did go in with the translucent powder, I don't have to go overboard with this, but this is just going to make my cheekbones and underneath of my eyes look even more prominent and highlighted. And it's important to set the areas of the blemishes as well, which is why I was focusing a little bit more on those areas. So this is the Morphe 9BZ palette. It's their bronzer palette, and I just take those 3 shades. I start with the lighter shade, and then I work into the darker shades. So this is their Morphe E4 brush. This is perfect, I think, for getting right underneath of those cheekbones to really carve them out. And this is going to make your contour look more prominent and also, I think, look more blended. When you're going in with a brush, it's easier to blend all of that out. So I just darken. You want to keep the darkest areas towards the back of the contour, so towards the outer part of the face, and then blend it inwards, and you want that to fade into a lighter contour by the time you get to the inner part of your face. And I'm using the lightest shade that I showed you just to contour my nose because I don't want this to look too overdone. And I'm just doing the sides of my nose, very simple. So for the baking, this is what I've been asked about the most. This is a Graftobian Skin Tone Light Powder. It's just a pro setting powder. Pretty sure you can find it on Amazon. And this is the Morphe G30 brush. So this is going to make all of the contouring and highlighting look even more, I don't want to say natural because none of this is really natural, but it's going to make it look more seamless. And you can see I just press the powder. I go like way overboard. That's the whole process of the baking, is you press the powder right onto the skin so it looks kind of ridiculous right now. And I'm putting that in all of the areas that I want to keep highlighted. So this is that same big fluffy brush, and the longer you leave the baking on, the more dramatic this is going to look. I leave it on long enough for me to get done with it, and then I dust it all off. So I'm just going to be blending that all out completely. I'm going to kind of blend everything when I do this. So you can see I'm not trying to be super precise. I'm just taking this brush and blending everything out. And this is going to make all the contouring and highlighting look even more natural and flawless. So I'm using these 2 shades in the Morphe 9B palette because when you do highlighting and contouring, it's also very important to go in with blush because without that, you look kind of dead, I guess, like almost. So I'm just mixing these warm blush tones and putting that right on top of the contour. So for the final highlighting, I'm using Bubbly and Dripping in Gold in the new Anastasia Glow palette, and I'm just going to be touching that on the cheekbones. You can highlight as much or as little as you want. I like to highlight a lot because I like to look very dewy, and I just think that's so pretty. Like, I think that's gorgeous. And I think it brings even more dimension to your face because truthfully, once you finish your makeup, it can kind of look cakey until the very last step I will tell you about. And this brings a little bit more luminous and dewiness to your face. So I'm just touching that on my cheekbones. So you can see this is not the most natural look in the world, but if you take some of the tips that I have said from all of this and you work them into your regular makeup routine, it's going to give your makeup that extra edge, I think. Make you look a little bit more sculpted, a little bit more bronzy. And I get so many questions about my highlighting and contouring, so that's what this is. And as you can see, I really pack on my highlighter. Don't judge me. So for my brows, I am going to do an updated brow routine as soon as I do all the other videos that I've been requested to do. So I'm kind of speeding through this, but I'm just using the Anastasia Brow Wiz in soft brown. And I'm keeping it, you know, relatively natural brows. Like, I'm not overdrawing them. I'm not going super dark or anything like that. I'm just following my natural brow line and keeping it as natural as possible. So for the lips, this isn't necessarily a nude lip, but since the rest of my makeup is very nude, I wanted to keep it a little pink. So this is MAC's lip liner in Whirl, and this is kind of a mauvey, dusty rose pink color. And I'm just lining my lips and kind of evening out my lips and making them look a little bit fuller. Even though I went in and did the full lips enhancer, this is just a little addition. So I'm using ColourPop's liquid lipstick in Midi, and I'm mixing that with Anastasia's liquid lipstick Pure Hollywood because I like them both, but I like them both even better when they're mixed. So I'm mixing those two together on the back of my hand, and I just take a lip brush and fill in my lips a little bit. I think this is like the perfect pink nude lip ever. Like, I love this combination. So I spritz my face, put on some mascara, and that is it. When you spray the setting spray, this also makes you look less cake face. And all of the links will be in the description box below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. And if you try this, please tag me on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. Thank you so much.